Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. My name's Kira. Subscribe if you're new, and without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today, I'm really excited for today's video because I'm talking about Ginny and Georgia, which if you haven't seen it yet or you don't know what it is, it's a new show, a new series on Netflix. It's about a mother and a daughter. The mother is white, the daughter is mixed. And it's been compared to Gilmore Girls, and they do make a reference to Gilmore Girls in the show, but it's not really like Gilmore Girls. It is in a few ways, but like the tone is not the same. And it's kind of got like a crime, I don't know, it's a little crime action-y as well. So I don't know what genre that is. It's Netflix. So, you know, they just kind of take whatever algorithms they think are working and slap it into a show. But this one was particularly close to home because I don't think I've ever really watched a show where the main character was a mixed girl. I know mixed-ish exists, and I have seen a couple episodes about it, but that's still like, it's very like family oriented. Like it's like, oh, the mother's perspective, the father's perspective, all the kids' perspective. It's not really the same. I liked this show. I love this show for how it portrayed the mixed experience, period. Never seen anything like that. And it was so valuable for me to see my experience really the nuance of it reflected on screen. Like, I cried a lot watching this. I cried so many times because what you don't understand, and I don't know who's watching this, I don't know if you're mixed or not, but, and I'm probably gonna cry in this video, and I'm gonna try not to. But why am I trying? It's not gonna work. Being mixed is confusing, and it's nuanced, and it's rarely reflected in cinema. And I think people just think, oh, it's like, you know, their struggles are gonna be kind of like Black people's, but maybe not as bad. But I personally think it's actually a very specific experience. And I encourage you to watch this if you're not mixed, just to kind of understand the microaggressions that mixed people get. So if you didn't watch the show, there's gonna be spoilers also. Let's start with Ginny. Let's just talk about Ginny for a second. Ginny is me, and I am her in all of the important ways. Like, literally this, because also what I loved about this show is I feel like a lot of times when you do get a mixed girl or a light-skinned girl or whatever, like a lot of times recently I've seen them be like very soft-spoken, and that's fine. That's just not me. People need to understand, like, oh, you see Ginny, you're like, oh, she doesn't look that different. What's different about this though is that she's playing a biracial person. Usually somebody who looks like her is playing the main Black girl, and that's the show's acclaim, is that it has a Black girl in it. She's actually biracial. So I want people to be aware of that when you're seeing these people who look like her, whether it's Zendaya, whether it's Yara Shahidi, whether it's Amandla Steinberg, those are the three like young Black actresses that you will see. All of them are biracial, just so you know. Like, actually in real life, all of them are biracial. And they're never playing a biracial person though. And this is what I'm saying when we need to expand. This is why everything is messed up. It's so messed up. And it's because of misogynoir and colorism, and there's all this tension between light-skinned girls and dark-skinned girls because of this. But it's messed up because the only young Black actresses you're seeing who are playing Black people are biracial. And that is why everybody's looking at people like us screaming, erasure, erasure. When, like, I didn't do that, but I am the only Black woman you're seeing your age, so I understand why you're upset. But it's interesting when you compare that to Black men. TV and film holds more space for both dark-skinned men and light-skinned men, whereas TV and film does not hold that space the same way for Black women. And it's like, they're basically like, we're gonna have one shade and she's gonna represent all of them. Whereas with Black men, do you see how there can be all these different shades? So the problem is I shouldn't be replacing anybody. There should be me, and there should also be everyone else represented in the shade scale. You know what I'm saying? The reason I love Ginny is because not only does she represent me in the way I look, but in her actual identity, she is actually biracial. And we're actually talking about what that means and what that does. We're not just putting Zendaya in some fun film or TV show and not talking about whatever. You know what I mean? So there's that difference, first of all. Second of all, Ginny, she speaks up. And I was like, yes, we got a girl who's mixed and she talks to other people when they make her feel small. So that was good. However, she didn't always do that, but she tried her best. I hated when they made her straighten her hair. And that is 1000% just because I'm projecting, and it reminded me of when I used to straighten my hair in high school. I hated that they did that, and they didn't talk about it, which is like, you know what? I liked that they did that, because that's another problem with one of my only problems with this show is that they did a lot of like point making. Do you know what I mean? It was like, oh, they're trying to make a point here. And they were also trying to hit everything at once. But with her straightening her hair, they didn't say anything about it because that's how it happens. It's like, it's just one day the girl with curly hair shows up and she's straightened her hair and she acts like it's not a big deal. And she acts like it's not a big deal for her. And, oh yeah, I just straightened it. How long did it take? Oh, not that long, whatever. When really like it's a big identity crisis you're having on the inside, and it's a big, you're trying to whitewash yourself, you're trying to look like the people around you, because she's going to a predominantly white school in this show, which is another reason why I related. And it's a big deal when people like us straighten our hair, and they didn't even talk about it, but that is how it happens. And like all of the stuff that it went on in her head about that happened alone. However, it does completely bleed into, and I loved, this show was poetic at a lot of times. They like literally did poetry, like they went to poetry slams and she said a poem and whatever, but very poetic in the way it was connecting its intersectionality. So, and this is why I love the way they did it with Ginny and Georgia, because Ginny and Georgia are going through completely different things, but poetically and through narration, the show tied it together in a way that I was like, yes, I see the dots connecting, intersectionality. But my favorite one that they did was, they did an analogy of makeup, because there's a part where Ginny is in the bathroom with her white friends and they're all putting on makeup and they're like, oh, do you want us to put some on you, Ginny? And she's like, no, I don't think you have my shade. First of all, white girls don't ask if you want to put makeup on your black friend. You're not gonna have the shade. She was like, Georgia always says you need to put the makeup down your neck, because if you can see where the mask stops and your face and your skin begins, then you've done it wrong. And then later on, she comes home and she's taking off her makeup and she's looking in front of the mirror, and it's like a montage between her and her mom both looking in the mirror and taking off their face. And she was talking about how like she knows a lot about masks, and she talks about how she's always putting on a front, and she says, nobody ever sees the real me, not even my mom. I think it was important for them to show that, because again, this is, I think, the first show I've seen or heard of where not only is the main character mixed, but she has a white mom. Because usually when you do see a mixed character, I've noticed recently anyway, or to my knowledge, they have a black mom, which is a different experience, because, you know, your mom is your icon for femininity when you're growing up. Like, you're like, this is what being a woman is. And what being a woman means for a white woman is different than a black woman. You know what I mean? And I liked that they kind of put that disconnect in that there's always going to be a layer of you that your mom can't understand. And it's not any fault of her own. There's just some things that they can't understand. In Ginny's scenario, as well as a lot of our scenarios, I think, it's isolating. It's isolating to not have somebody to talk to who gets it and who really gets what it's like to move through the world as you. And just in general for mixed girls, like, that's hard. Because we don't have a lot of people, figures in the media, whatever, or around us a lot of times to look up to say, hey, don't let anybody tell you who you are. You know what I mean? Sorry for crying. Yes, I love that they did that. Now Ginny and her friends, I didn't like at the beginning when she was kind of ignoring the black girl who wanted to hang out, but then later you found out that she was doing that just because she was grounded. But then it was really funny when the black girl came to Ginny's Halloween party and Ginny was dressed as Britney Spears and the black girl walks in and she was like, and Ginny looked ridiculous and she was like dancing. And the girl was just like judging her for sure. But it's okay, like they ended up friends. If I was Ginny, see, I started that sentence and then I think, well, I was Ginny. I had the white friends who were mean to me. Did you catch though in the hallway when there was one of the girls who she was like friendly with or whatever stopped her in the hallway and said, oh, like you look so exotic, like where are you from? And I was like, I'm glad they put that in there. Something I did want to talk about, Ginny and her boyfriend, Hunter, his name is Hunter. Their relationship at the end when they were competing and fighting and when they were talking about, they were doing, I think literally Hunter said in it, do you want to play Oppression Olympics? That whole conversation argument wouldn't have happened. I don't think, especially in who, well, okay, I get what they were going for, but I just haven't, Asians don't usually try to one-up black people like that, or mixed people, or like, they just don't usually try to do that. In my experience, like, and I just can't see Hunter, like the way they built his character to be so smart and like intelligent. I understand when they made him like dumb to sexism things, like when he wasn't replying to her picture and he was like, I wanted to respect you, like he was being dumb. But I can understand how his character would have gotten there, but I don't think his character would have ever thought that Asian people are more oppressed than black people. I just thought that argument would not have happened. And if it did happen, it wouldn't have happened like that, like so aggressively, both parties being like, I'm more oppressed. No, I'm more oppressed. Not that people don't do that, but I think those two specific characters in their situation would not have done that, personally. And there are a couple of moments like that where I was like, what is this show trying to do? And oh my gosh, that was too much. And then her with her friends a lot of the time, her reactions, I was like, no, she would have freaked out. Why is she chill? Like, why is she cool with this? Somebody slapped her. That girl. Also, did you notice all of the antagonists in the show were redheads? I don't know what point they were trying to make, but they were going hard. I don't know what point they were trying to make, but all of the antagonists were redheads. So her redheaded friend slapped her in the face. And she was just cool with it? No, that wouldn't have happened. She would have freaked out on her. They made Ginny freak out on everybody except for the people that she should have. They made her freak out on her mom the whole time. Ginny was that's another thing. I don't think Ginny would have rode off in a motorcycle with her brother on the back when she found out her mom wasn't who she said she was. I just don't think that would have happened. I think there was maybe 1,000,010 other steps that could have happened before that. Also, like, where is she going? Like, I just don't think that would have happened like that. But I did appreciate their relationship dynamic in a few ways, and here's the ways that it was giving me Gilmore Girls. So it's giving me Gilmore Girls in that Georgia was 16 when she had Ginny. Her father is like the one true love of her life, supposedly up to this point, the person she's always connected with the most, but always escapes, always leaves one way or the other, even if he says he's gonna stay. But literally, the dad in this was Christopher from Gilmore Girls, 100%. Yes, the dad was black, Christopher is white. But they even came in on their motorcycles. They rode to town in their motorcycles with their leather jackets, and they were cool and handsome, and I love you, kid, blah, 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 and the kid wants them to stay, and then they end up leaving. So Christopher. And that Ginny, or their names are so similar, Georgia and the dad had like a little affair before he leaves. That was very Christopher, very Gilmore Girls. I was getting really hungry, so I made some yogurt and I came back, sorry. Now, Georgia. I love Georgia. I loved her character, and I loved how they went from present to past. And I love seeing that. I love seeing the past and all the stuff she's been in. However, I did not need her to be some, like, psychotic killer lady. Like, I just didn't need it. Like, when they started to make it about murder and the detective chasing her, I was like, I didn't need any of that. I just wanted to see this show about a white mom and a biracial daughter and their regular life. And even if they want to keep that her past is, you know, kind of a mess and it's been rough and she's been all, like, she could have been, coming from the trailer park still, like, her whole life could have been the same. Just in the present moment, it didn't need to catch up to her. I didn't need this to be a murder mystery. I didn't need this to be a chasing crime type thing. And I guess Netflix likes to do that because they're like, oh, well, it's not going to do well if it's just emotional. We need to also make it thrilling. No. I don't always need somebody to get killed. I don't always need there to be guns. Like, no. I didn't need any of that. And that's when the show just started to get a little bit unrealistic. And it ends with Ginny riding off in a motorcycle. And I was like, did we have to take it there? There was plenty to explore right here. Plenty to explore right here. We didn't need to take it there. But yeah, in general, the show, like, trying to just do too many things. You can't be doing all of those things at once. It was very, like, trying to be woke, and it was like, oh, look. Okay, and there's some times where it worked and sometimes where it didn't. So, the best friend, can't remember her name right now, sorry. The best friend is in love with a girl. They did that very well. I like when shows don't make a big deal about somebody being gay. Like, it doesn't have to be a big, oh, should I come out? Oh, they're coming out, or oh, they've been outed and now what do they do? It's like, okay, everybody knows she's gay and she just dates girls and we don't need to go into it because it's not that big of a deal. They did that very well. And they, like, showed her love story and it was cute. I liked that. And her family, her dad is deaf, lots of sign language, love that. Incorporating that into the show was really cool to see also. Those were the ones that were done better. Anything with Hunter and Ginny, I didn't like the way they did it most of the time. Oh, another Gilmore Girls correlation though. Hunter is Dean. Max is Jess. Duh. And we're all rooting for Jess. Duh. Duh. Easy. Right there. And we love a bad boy. We love it. Well, they just kept trying to be like everybody has a crutch kind of thing. The oldest evil redheaded lady, who was running for mayor when she came home and her husband was like on the machine. And it was like, okay, so are you trying to say there's no villains in the world and everybody, and I guess I go off. I just didn't need everybody's backstory. And I didn't need to try, like, for them to try and make me feel bad for everybody. You know what I mean? I just personally didn't need that, and I thought it was too much, and I would like us to spend more time. You know who we didn't spend a lot of time on was Max. We could have spent more time on Max. Like, we could have cut out some of these characters, the tertiary character, and when they were doing, again, the evil redheaded friend, there's 3 levels of evil redheaded folks. One's a little boy, one's a teenage girl, and one's an older woman. Not older woman. Sorry, middle-aged woman. And with her friend taping the thighs, and then they're playing a game and they want her to take her jeans off. Again, it was just like, so you want me to feel bad for everybody. Like, and I do. I felt bad for her in that moment, but it was just like a lot of different stuff. Oh, and then they were doing the suicide stuff too. They were touching on self-harm and even had a sound at the beginning or the end of the show, like, if you're ever feeling whatever the heck they say, call this helpline. So they were just trying to do a lot. And then that's when they were getting like 13 Reasons Why vibes, which I don't love those vibes. Yeah, so I think they were trying to do definitely too much. And I definitely think that's because they probably thought, and you know, maybe they're right. Maybe they thought the whole, you know, white mom, biracial kid thing wasn't enough and just like her life. Because it was also like funny and interesting. Like it could have been a bunch of white characters, similar plot, and it still would have been funny and interesting. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were fully relying on the minority aspect of it and trying to hit all those, but they were doing everything at once. They were like, we're gonna make this as funny as it wasn't as funny as Gilmore Girls, but they were trying. They were like, we're gonna make this as funny and dramatic as Gilmore Girls, but we're gonna add race, ASL, self-harm, LGBTQ, oppression Olympics, body dysmorphia. Like they really just went down the list, went check, 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 check. So that was too much. Overall, I highly recommend the show, especially for the way it portrays the biracial experience. I think it was doing too much. However, I think they're setting up for a season 2, and I am going to watch it. And I did enjoy it. And I was like actually vividly like hooked and engaged the whole time, except for like getting closer to the end when they were trying to be crazy. Anyways, yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you watch the show and let me know what you think. Let me know if you did watch the show, what you thought down below. Comment a purple heart if you've made it to the end of the video, and make sure to like and subscribe. Subscribe to my podcast. It'll be down below, and my TikTok, Kira Bria, Instagram, Kira Bria, Twitter, Kira Bria. That's it. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.